People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. My name is Randy Cook, and each week we sit down here and talk through some of the issues of retirement, talk about some of the issues that are going on out there on Wall Street, certainly markets and things like that. But the main thing is, what do we do about it? Who are you getting to help you when it comes to planning for retirement? And Charisse and I have been doing this show for 13 years now, just kind of showing people, hey, there is help out there. We would love to have the opportunity to sit down, get to know you, and maybe we can be of service to you. Charisse, how are you doing today?
I look like an Indian. I'm great. Please answer the question.
Oh, so you've been out in the sun just a little bit. I know that's important to you.
Oh my gosh. I when I get in the sun, I have to wear those long sleeve shirts, and I wear a hat, and they have hoods, and because I get so dark that it actually gets kind of ugly, and it only takes like 3 days to get there. So it doesn't matter what kind of SPF. This is the Italian and Indian in me.
I was just going to say, it's the Italian in you, and the olive skin. Yeah, you tan really well.
It's just weirdly how fast I can tan. But anyways, we just got back, did a week trip with the kiddos, and did Eli and Ella did surf camp, and Mom got out and did a little surf camp. Mm-hmm. And Eli did really great, met some new buddies, and got up quite a few times. And I got hammered a couple of times and had to take quite a few breaks. It's I'm not 20 anymore, but my brain feels like it is sometimes. But it was fun. Lots of volleyball, frisbee, and every night we had ice cream, everyone. Yep,
that's
every
what
night.
Summer's about.
And you know what? When you're surfing every day and boogie boarding, you're out there, you can have a pound of ice cream. I'm going to give you all permission to get out there with your grandkids and go out in the water and go eat lots of ice cream.
Ice cream makes everything better. That's my motto in life. There's never enough ice cream. When I'm on my deathbed, somebody's going to say, you know, you're a little overweight there and you ate a little too much ice cream and too many Chick-fil-A shakes. I'm going to go, doesn't bother me.
It does. Yeah, and I got to tell you, so our mission was to go have 5 different ice creams in 5 different locations. And you know what? We found the best ice cream in the world. I'm still dreaming about it today.
Really?
It was so, like, you know, when you get like the waffle cone bowls and then they put the chocolate on it and, you know, kind of tastes good. It's good, right? But I went to a place where it was soft and still a little warm, and it was divine. It was divine. It was ridiculously good.
I love it.
I can't even just tell you. And the ice cream, I've never had ice cream this good. Never. Anyways, let's move on. It's about retirement, not about Charisse's ice cream explosion week.
Well, see, this is where now remember this date, because when we get to September and everything is done with summer, she's going to go, I'm feeling a little plumpy. I got to get back on the wagon here.
No, I'm getting ready for 29,029 Everesting hike. That is a 36-hour endurance challenge. So I worked out every morning on top of it.
When is that
fit
thing?
as a fiddle right now, my friend.
When is that thing?
That's not till September. So
okay. All
yeah,
right.
I got
a little time yet. All right.
Yeah, but every day it's the weekend. The weeks get harder on our workouts. Woo.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into it here. This show really is to introduce you to Charisse and show you that there is help out there when it comes to your retirement planning. But what's interesting to me is, as hard as this can be, only about 25% of people actually use a financial advisor. When people want financial advice, many times they go to talk to their family, they talk to their friends, and TIAA did a little survey about that, and they said, how was that advice for you? And 60% of people said, I wasn't happy with it.
Of course.
What's good with your family and what's good with your friends isn't necessarily good for you. So let's talk about that person right now who's a little bit on the fence and wondering, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I talk to somebody? What do you see as the objections? What's the hang up? Why are only 25% of people in the country using services like yours?
You know, it's interesting. I would say work with your employer or you own a business, you have your 401k or simple plans, and you don't really have an advisor. Even though there is an advisor you can call, there's no like planning. There's just no connection. So you're just used to that. So for 30 to 40 years of your life, you're just dumping money in and buying the Vanguard S&P fund, right? Maybe a bond, maybe a little bit of the Russell. And that's all people do. So then they get ready to retire. And some people pre-retirement will say, you know what, I'm going to step into this world of advisory and I'm going to pay a fee to somebody. And then what happens? Well, nothing happens again with lots of advisory firms. I'm not picking on anybody, but there's a lot of buy and hold shops that do nothing. They don't do any customer service. There's no extras. And they're like, well, I was doing this with my 401k. Now, why am I paying a 1% fee or a 2% fee? So a lot of people get burned and hurt early on. So then when they do retire, they're like, no, I'm going to do this on my own, right? So they don't trust someone, right? And then you start to make mistakes, and then you're like, oh, maybe I do need to see somebody, and you're just not sure like why you can't figure it out and why it's not working out the way you want, or maybe the money's going down, or you took bigger losses than you were expecting, and maybe you bought a couple stocks and you're like, you swore it was going to be a winner and then you didn't, so now you're embarrassed. You don't want to go see a financial advisor because now you just feel like, oh, I really screwed some things up. And so this is a no judgment zone. Every one of you have been through one of these scenarios. Some of you say, hey, I just feel like it costs a lot. And it really doesn't, depending on the office and advisory team you go to, right? And maybe you just, like I said earlier, never had one. Maybe you feel you didn't save enough, so you're kind of embarrassed. Like, I want to get to 500,000 before I call, or I want to get to 1 million before I call. Like, because you feel like maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you just didn't feel like you saved enough because you spent a lot and put it into the business. And so there's so many reasons why people shy off to doing the things that they actually really need to do the most. And there's so many issues and crises people are going to face in retirement, and going alone, there's a domino effect of problems that could occur and hazards that you're going to be like, oh gosh, I wish I had somebody. Oh, I wish I had somebody. And not just a stock jock that's going to manage your money, but somebody who can actually do the stock jock job and do the retirement planning, that retirement world, right? Medicare, the Social Security questions, taxes on Social Security, ugly Irma with Medicare and that penalty, the legacy. How do we plan for that legacy? Taxes, you got a ticking time bomb ahead of you. If you save most of your money in 401ks and IRAs, you better get to work now before it gets a little too late or before taxes go up. So there's so many things, Randy, people have to consider. And I want to rest assured to all of our listeners, like our first meeting when you come in, we're just getting to know you. I'm sitting back in my chair. My advisors are sitting back in their chair, and they just want to know, what are your hopes? What are your dreams? They're taking inventory. What have you saved? Right? You walk in and you get cookies and drinks. That's so shabby. I don't make bacon and eggs, but I'll take the cookies, right? So it's really a no judgment zone here. And I just want people to know that it's not a scary thing, even though maybe you feel like it's a scary thing. You've heard horror stories. I always say, tip your toe in the water. Go interview a couple advisors. And of those couple of advisors, you're really going to know which ship you're going to prefer, right? It's going to be the Zinnia ship. It's going to be somebody else. It's going to be the big bank or brokerage ship. And you get to go with them. So you get the choice. So be prudent with your decisions, do your homework, and just make sure you're aligned with your financial advisor and they're talking the tune that you're like, okay, I like that. Okay, I don't like that. Then don't go with them. It's that simple. So, first meeting's simple. And then we go to work for you on the second meeting and we do all your work. We're not twisting arms for people to come on board. And it's just really just showing you, what do you have? Where do you need to go if you have super goals or you want to spend more money than you are now? And how do we thrive in retirement, have confidence in retirement with a well-oiled machine backing it up, right? And knowing what the plan is. People just want to know what's the plan, and they want to know their advisor is actually doing something.
There is so many things that we have to deal with in retirement that we didn't have to deal with in our working years. I mean, you're putting money away and now you're taking money out. Markets go down, but you're still putting money in. But when you're in retirement, you're not necessarily doing that. I mean, inflation went up. Look at all the stuff that we've dealt with, 2008, COVID, all these different things. They happen. And, you don't want to be stuck in a crisis. I mean, I always tell on myself of the story with my lawnmower that one day I drove into my driveway, into my garage, and underneath my lawnmower was a big pool of oil. And I was like, oh, for crying out loud. So I go in there, and what do? I try to fix it. So I take this whole motor apart on my 8th grade knowledge of motors, and I had 6 parts left over when I put that thing back together. So then what happens is you go to the repair shop with a bucket full of parts, and you go, I tried, and he just smiles. He goes, I'll fix it. And then you're in for a big bill. Don't let that happen to you financially in your life. Don't come to Charisse with a bucket full of stuff and say, look what I did. I mean, remember that story that we told about the woman who wanted to buy a beach house and it was $500,000. So she went into her 401k and she bought her beach house. Yes. And then the next year she got a tax bill for $125,000 and she didn't know what to do. So she paid it out of her 401k, and then it just kept going, and pretty soon she hardly had any left, and she goes to the financial advisor and says, help me, and I hate this house. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that happens, isn't it? I mean,
well, it's interesting because I just had a client call and say, Charisse, I really want to buy this house on the beach. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Let me tell you why not to buy a house on the beach, and let me give you some tips. Because I said, I've had clients buy houses right on the beach, and they always end up selling it. The hurricanes, the corrosion, the headache. Then they end up going about a mile off the beach, and then they're happy. So I was like, let's kind of figure out where on the beach you want to go. But her money is an IRA money. She hasn't started converting it from an IRA to Roth. I said, on top of that, if you need $400,000 to $500,000, we got to pull it out of your retirement accounts. And, well, guess what? You got to pay taxes on that. Yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, well, I'm so glad I called you. I'm going to nix that idea or maybe get a loan. So those are just conversations that we talk about, we bring up to make sure that they're not hazards. You don't lose your shorts while trying to make this amazing decision that you absolutely deserve.
Well, seeking advice, and I mean, your whole life, there are times when you need a plumber, you need an electrician. So you say, I'm over my head. I need to call somebody in. This is what they do for a living. How about retirement? Can you kind of say the same thing about that? You've never gone through this before, and you're going to do this once. Why not go someplace where Charisse and her team go through it every single day? Give us a call, give us a look at our website, and let's start that conversation. All you have to do is go to zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, and click on that gold box there, and it says complimentary retirement consultation. That's the first meeting. That is no charge. There's no obligation for that. We're just going to sit down and talk about your hopes and dreams, as Charisse says, and talk about how we may be able to help. You can bypass all that and just give us a call. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680. All right, so one of the names that we'll mention every now and then is Jamie Dimon. He's the CEO of JP Morgan, and you see him on the financial news all the time. And some people were asking him some questions about retirement, and he said, problems don't age well. You need to hit this stuff head on. Get rid of your debt. Pay attention to your health. Don't put off estate planning, tax planning, all these different things. This is in front of you. We've got to deal with it. He said, nothing good or bad lasts forever. Have a financial plan for all seasons.
All weather portfolio is what he's talking about.
There it is.
Love it.
We talk about that all the time, don't we?
Yeah. And he's so right. The whole idea of the word planning is to head off potential future crises, right? So when we talk about planning, especially like 5 years before you retire, and for sure you might be retiring, is number one, get rid of the debt, get rid of the credit card debt, get rid of the mortgage if you can, especially if they're high interest instruments, right? So that's goal number one. Dave Ramsey says, get rid of your highest interest credit card first. And it's so true. Anything that's high interest, get rid of first, and you kind of go down that line and get rid of that debt because it hurts in retirement. So, let's work on that. If you have debt, let's have those conversations. And what about a health care, Randy, paying attention to your health? We're talking about the Medicare plan. Do you keep your employer plan? Do you come out and we get you a Medicare supplement? And then we got to talk about long-term care. Do we need a long-term care plan? Or do we weave in, the attorneys at a later date? Can we afford it? Because that is another crisis that tends to come up quite often. Yeah. I mean, quite often. And it makes people very nervous. I can't imagine being in retirement, Randy, and worrying about long-term care. Do I have enough? Like for years, you're stewing for 10 years in retirement, still never sat with a retirement planner. And you're like, you're a spouse. Maybe you don't handle the finances and you're this thinking, do we have enough money for retirement? Stop asking the question, do I have enough money for retirement? Stop asking the question, do I have enough money for long-term care? Come in and find out. Look at a plan. See what the future could potentially provide. Because if you, for the next 30 years in retirement, have to think about, do we have enough money for long-term care? And you're asking yourself every once in a while, you're on a beach trip with your grandkids and you're thinking, I'm enjoying life. Oh, do I have enough money for long-term care? No, that is the silliest thing. Come in and find out. We do this for free for you. So take action because the world is your oyster when there's so many alternatives and things that you can do. And some of you don't need it, but you're still going to stress out about it. So pay attention to your health and what's to come in the future. Don't put off your estate plan. What is the plan? Do you even have a will and a trust? Randy, you wouldn't believe this. I would say 75% of the people who come in to see us still don't have a will and a trust and they're in retirement. Like as soon as I had kids, I got a will and a trust, right? And so who's going to get your money? Is it your kids? Is it charities? Do you have grandkids? Do we need to start gifting them money now? Do we want to work on a 529 plan? Because eventually with your estate plan, there could be a crisis, right? And so there's different types of trusts you can get. And so we want to really dial into how that works. And one of the biggest crises, in my opinion, Randy, is 401ks and IRAs. The ticking time bomb crisis. Listen, we are in trillions of dollars of debt. Trillions. Who's going to pay that debt off? I'm going to tell you something. This Doge thing, we've saved about $500 billion of recouping and what Elon Musk put together, but we have $2 trillion in deficit. We're not even putting a dent in it, and it's compounding every year. There's only so much we can go after. We're going to have a debt crisis in the future, right? And so your IRAs, right now, taxes are its lowest they're ever going to be, right? So what are you doing about it if taxes go up? Now is your time to act, because if taxes go up and your $500,000 IRA goes to $1 million and then your $1 million IRA goes to $2 million, every dollar it grows is fully taxable and your tax brackets will likely go up. Then you're forced to pull money out, even if you didn't want to. Let's say you had $1 million and now you're at $3 million in your IRA. You are forced to pull about 3.65% of it day one when you have to enter your RMD phase. So what are you doing to get ready for RMD phase? And some of you are like, well, Sharice, the RMD phase of life where I'm forced to pull money out of my retirement accounts is at age 73. But I'm 70. I got 3 years to work on it. Yeah, you do. So get in here. Let's get it done. Some of you are in RMD phase of life already. You still need to come in and get things done because it's going to get worse. And your IRAs are going to continue to grow. So this is a crisis that you're going to want to really work on, because by the time you're 80, you're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then it's going to cost you more. So, let's work on this. So these are all these things that Jamie Dimon is saying, hey, we got to work on. There's questions, there's answers, there's solutions, but let's prepare for these crises.
That's why we have this show, is to say there's a lot out there to deal with. Let us help you, because we deal with it every day. Sharice's team every day is helping people retire, and that's what we would love to help you do as well. Give us a call, 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680, or use our website, which is zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that, and you'll be on your way. All right, so the idea that you were talking about, the IRA to Roth conversion, what if you were doing one right now And then Congress decided to change the rules later. What should you do about it? Well, that was the discussion on the Barron's Roundtable, which is one of those Sunday morning financial shows. Here's what they were talking about.
What if you're tinfoil hat level paranoid about government changing the deal? Right now they say, pay us now on the Roth, later on it'll be tax free. But maybe 25 years down the road they say, hey, wait a second, this fat cat dodged some taxes. We got to get some extra money from him on the way out.
If they do get rid of the Roth, which, is bandied about as a thing they might do, I doubt they're going to double dip on current Roth holders. They're not going to say, you paid your taxes on the way in, now you're going to have to also pay your taxes on the way out. They're going to, say no more new Roths.
But what they might do is raise taxes, in which case you'll be glad you have a Roth.
That is more likely.
And it is an interesting concept because, Charisse, in the 13 years I've been doing this show, we've seen a lot of these changes in Social Security. They eliminated the stretch IRA. There's a lot of things that have changed, so people have to adjust. Would you discourage somebody from doing a Roth conversion at this point?
No, absolutely. Randy, what kind of question is that?
Well, that's what they're talking about. Maybe there's another way. I don't know.
No, there's not. There's no magic pill here. It is what it is.
Okay.
Listen, one day the government is likely to say, okay, you can't do this anymore. Or one day the government's going to say, people who have W-2 wages, you can no longer contribute, but maybe you can still convert. And if you can convert, taxes will likely be higher, or they'll push it up higher so you don't convert as much. But it's the long game for the government, right? And it's a long game for the individual investor. So both of you have to consider your own means. And so the government wants to get paid out early, but they also want this tax burden to continue to pay them out over the years because they know that they're going to win. And then your long game is if you allow them to take control of how your 401ks and IRAs are taxed, you're going to pay double, triple, and maybe quadruple the taxes if you hadn't rolled your IRAs over to a Roth. And because it's just not for you. It's not you, the individual. Okay. It's for your surviving spouse. When somebody passes, we got some serious dough that's going to be poured out because we're not filing married jointly, or we're filing singly. Taxes can go up $4 to $15,000 extra a year by this, and that's just a small amount. But then when the second spouse passes and your kids and grandkids inherit these dollars, holy moly. We could see at least 40% of this money going back to Uncle Sam. You have worked your butts off. And if you got $1 million and let's say 40%, which would be $400,000, goes back to Uncle Sam, that is an absolute sham. And so what do you do to control this absolute sham that will most likely take place? If it's not worse than that, you convert your IRAs now, your 401ks now, to a Roth IRA. Stop putting your head in the sand and ignoring that this is not going to be a problem for you in the future, because 9 out of 10 of you, maybe 8 out of 10 of you, this is going to be a big problem for you. And it doesn't get better. And our debt doesn't get better. Right? We're going to keep compounding this debt. Like, seriously, people, start thinking about this. We're going to be $40 trillion before you know it in a few years. Who's going to pay that back? Okay. So it's going to be you guys. It's all of you saving right now. You might be in your 40s and your 50s. You're like, Sheree, I'm listening to you, but I got a long time before I got to retire. You better start contributing to your Roth IRAs. Okay. And if your employer has a Roth 401k, put some money into that too, right? But you have a ticking time bomb on your hands. And when you turn 73, you are forced to pull money out of these retirement accounts. And so 73, now you have $1 million. You got to take 40,000 out. Just doing simple numbers here. These aren't real numbers, but it's pretty close. And then the next year you got to take 41,000 out. And the next year you got to take 42,000 out. By the time you are in your late 80s, you're having to pull 8% out of your IRAs. And if your $1 million had grown to $2 million, 8% off $2 million is what you have to pull out and pay taxes on. You don't have to spend it. You just got to pay the tax bill on it. And then if somebody passed, oh my gosh, it gets so much uglier. So I don't want to scare people. I just want you to see what's on the horizon and what the math is telling us. And we've been saying this for years. We do math on everything that you can possibly think of when it comes to planning for Medicare, health insurance, long-term care, your investment plan, your tax plan, everything. This tax burden is going to be a burden. And if I can implore every single listener, whether you're working with us or not, whether you do it on your own or with your other advisors. Start rolling monies over from an IRA to a Roth. But before you do that, make sure you see the math. Make sure it makes sense, because there usually is 1 out of 10 people where it actually doesn't really make sense. There's very few. If you're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, but for most cases, you're going to be in the same tax bracket. So I would implore you to make that move and roll IRAs to a Roth or 401k to a Roth, or you'll be in a higher tax bracket. So, think about it, process this over the weekend. And if you're just, okay, Charisse, I don't know what you're talking about. This is like confusing. If it's confusing, just think how much worse and more confusing it's going to get as you get older. Come in and we'll do that tax plan. It's free, and you need to see if it's worth it.
We always say on the show, let's do the math on your retirement, and that's exactly what we're talking about. If you're headed for a big tax problem with that 401k, let's head that off before that takes place. That's what planning is all about. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website, which is zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Click on that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation, or call us 833-368-3680. I think it was last week that we did a story about the 3 things that people in retirement wish they could do over again. And I think it was, I wish I would have saved more. I wish I would have taken Social Security a little bit later. And then the other one was about taxes. And so is this one. This is Fidelity, a study. They say 72% of the people that they talk to in retirement say they wished they had opened a Roth IRA earlier in their careers. They were using that 401k, but not the Roth. And they said they missed the tax-free growth and the tax-free withdrawals. And as I thought about that, I said, well, there is a way to get that if you want to. And Charisse, you just touched on it in our last segment. Yeah. The idea of taking that 401k where probably most of your money is and moving it systematically over to a Roth. So how difficult a task is this? Who is a good person for this? And what are the benefits of this?
All in.
Okay. Big question. All right.
Everyone in.
All
okay.
Right.
So it's a really simple process. It literally takes one form to move IRAs to a Roth IRA. It also takes a couple of signatures if you're opening your first Roth IRA, and you can do them with any custodian that you can imagine or you're working with. Okay. So let's talk about some of the basic stuff. So when you have a 401k, you're putting money in, and if you're with a great employer, they're probably doing some matching. So all that money that you put in and that the employer puts in, it grows tax deferred, and you get a deduction off your income every year. So it's a beautiful thing. But eventually, this little seed you're planting turns into this beautiful harvest. This beautiful harvest is going to cost you more in taxes later than paying the taxes now. So that's what I want you to think about. You got this apple tree, plant the seed, watch this tree grow, and then you got all these apples, and eventually we're going to have to pick these apples or they're going to rot, right? So the Uncle Sam won't allow you to let it rot because they're going to make you pull them and pay the tax bill on them as you go. And that's forever and ever and ever. It never rots. So the only thing that could rot is the returns in your portfolio. And maybe you could possibly watch it going backwards because of the tax bill in the future. So I want to say, if you are working and you have a 401k, I would say 7 out of 10 times, I'm going to recommend that you ask your employer if you have a Roth 401k. So a Roth 401k is let's say you put 20 grand in it, your employer puts 5 grand in it, 10 grand in it. All the returns in that Roth 401k grows tax free. So when this big harvest blooms, you don't pay taxes on it, right? So you have to decide if you're going to pay the taxes now or later. And the biggest myth in retirement, Randy, is that, when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. No, you're not. 8 out of 10 retirees, they're in a higher tax bracket or at least the same tax bracket. We're trying to help you get to a much lower tax bracket or maybe even a zero tax bracket. We have done that for people, which is very fun to do. We got to do a little bit of work, and I need at least 5 to 10 years with you to really implement that plan. But we're trying to get to a tax-free season of life in the future because we have trillions of dollars of debt. Trillions, and it keeps climbing. Anybody seen that debt clock lately? Oh my gosh. So, and the government is going to raise revenue by taxing you. And they're also going to try to cut spending, which I laugh at this moment, but maybe in the future, hopefully, so we can get a balanced budget. But right now we're in a deficit. And the people who pay, Randy, are the retirees who have IRAs. And this great generation is now going to be paying a massive amount of taxes, more than ever. And guess what? Taxes possibly could go up. Maybe they won't. Maybe we got a good 4 years till the next president. And then guess what? Maybe taxes go up then. But if taxes do not go up, this is like going to shop for your shoes and they're on sale. And hey, taxes are on sale, people. Take advantage of it, why we have it right now. So again, 401ks versus a regular Roth 401k. Now, let's say you're getting ready to retire. And even if you're not getting ready to retire, do you know that you can roll your old 401ks from old employers to an IRA? And then from there, we can start rolling your IRAs over to a Roth and you just pay maybe a little bit of taxes at a time. Again, those IRAs will go into a Roth and that Roth will grow tax free. So let's say you had $1 million today. And over the next 10 years, we rolled $100,000 a year out of it into a Roth. So you pay the taxes on that rollover every year, right? Maybe it costs you $20,000, maybe it costs you $40,000, but to save the big tax bill for the remaining 30 years you might live in retirement, I will prove to you based on our software that we have that 9 out of 10 times it actually makes sense to do that because you're thinking, well, that's crazy. How do I pay for that rollover? And so we have a strategy for that. But you won't believe it until you see it. And it's in the eyes of the beholder. If you're somebody who says, Sharice, I don't want my kids to get any money, all this is going to charity, then probably doesn't make sense. Or if you're splitting it half kids, half charity, there's going to be a different number. So it's not cookie cutter, right? And so it's a simple process. It's just making that first step to educating yourself, which is what we do here at Zinnia Wealth. So we want to educate you first, show you the why and the reason, and then you get to decide what you want to do at that point. So yes, rollover IRAs to a Roth is simple, and there's no better time than the present. So I would actually take action in case taxes do stay stable for the next so many years before they have to go up.
So let's talk about the benefits of it, because we're going to go through a little bit of pain here because we have to pay these taxes a little bit at a time, and that doesn't sound fun at all. But at the other side of the tracks, I guess we could say, there is some benefit over there. So when we get into that age where the government says, now it's time for RMDs, you have to start taking money out of this 401k or this IRA, how does that help us down the line?
Right. So it specifically really helps both of you while you're alive, but then the surviving spouse, because people forget when one spouse passes, all of a sudden your tax bill goes up an average of $5 to $10 grand at minimum. And then when the second spouse passes, then we get the kiddos penalty, all coined by a financial buddy of mine who I love dearly. And then the kids have to deal with this big tax ramification because they can't stretch those IRAs for the rest of their lives. They got to cash it out now due to the Secure Act new rules. So we have to start figuring out, okay, so if you have $1 million in a retirement account and you die, you can almost say, based on today's taxes, that 40% is probably going back to your partner, Uncle Sam, and only $600,000 goes to your kiddos, right? This is this concept and example, but I've seen it happen a bunch of times recently. So the question is, if you're thinking, well, 400 grand, 300 grand, 200 grand, I don't want any of that going to Uncle Sam. I'd rather slowly pay the tax bill now, since I'm in a lower tax bracket, than hand over this debt that we owed Uncle Sam to my kiddos. So we want to strategize for that. If you want them to get that full $1 million, then we got to work on it now. And at the end of the day, what happens is that $1 million keeps growing and it grows tax free. And then you'll see that legacy get even larger in that tax-free bucket. And it's a beautiful thing. So we'd be honored if you guys wanted to come in, and we would, one of our advisors, myself, whoever, will do that tax plan for you. And I'm going to promise you this one time, that you probably will not see this anywhere else. And I had shopped the market for years for something like this, and it was very hard to get. And so now we have it, and we're proud of it. And it is more than just a pencil and a calculator and a piece of paper. It is real math doing the work for you very simply. You might say, I only want to roll 20,000. Some people say only 100,000. I got a new client who's rolling 200,000 because it only costed them $20,000 more to do it. So the math We'll show you. You get to decide and dictate.
There you go. Well, let's plug your numbers in. And that's one of the things that we talk about all the time is having a customized plan for your retirement. You may have some friends that do this. You may have some friends that are totally against this. Well, let's do your math and figure out if it's right for you. If most of what you're bringing to the table, and this is the case with so many of us, most of our money's in a 401k, does it mean we're in a big tax trap? Well, let's find out. Let's do the math on that. Give us a call. Give us a look on our website. Start there. ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. If you click on that, you'll be on your way. Our team will reach out to you, or you can reach out to us right now. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. So most of the people that we're talking to are getting ready for retirement. But I want you to think for just a moment if you were already in retirement. Let's say you retired in the year 2000. Who knew that we would have two major market pullbacks in 10 years? Who knew that inflation would go from 2 to 9% during your retirement? Who knew we would have something like COVID take place? These are all things completely out of your control. And things happen in your retirement years, which is why when you sit down with Charisse, it's not just a one-time meeting to put a retirement plan together. This is going to be an ongoing relationship when things happen in the economy and things happen in your life. What if your mom went into long-term care and you had to take care of her and you had to oversee that? What if you found a love for RVing and you never knew that you loved this and all of a sudden you wanted to travel around the country? Things change. So, Charisse, talk to me about the ongoing service that you offer people. Once we get that retirement plan in place, it's not set it and forget it. It's continuing to nudge and move and adjust and have meetings and say, what's going on right now? How can we help?
Right. So we like to stress test a portfolio every year. When you first come in and meet us for the first time, we're stress testing your portfolio. So we're basically just saying, can you stay retired? Where can you pull from? What are the returns? Where do we really need to go? And the interesting thing about changes in retirement, Randy, I will say about all my clients, every 3 to 5 years, we got to make a pretty massive change. Mm-hmm. It could be health. It could be, I want to travel more. It could be death. And so you want to make sure your advisor is keeping up with your plan. You're sitting down with them. And that doesn't mean you have to sit down with them every year, but when big things change, you better be sitting down with them. And I would absolutely recommend at least a Zoom call or a conference call once a year. It just kind of keeps everybody, at pace and making sure that the plane's landing, right? So that's important, stress testing your portfolio, especially every 3 to 5 years. And if you don't have somebody stress testing your portfolio, I would be worried because things change so fast, Randy. I mean, look at inflation over the years. Have you corrected your inflation adjustable income plan? Some of you are probably like, I don't even have one, Trace. What does that mean? Well, if you were here, you would know what that meant. So you do need those changes because investments change. People come in and they get their portfolio X-ray done, Randy, on their first appointments. What we find is they're paying 2% in fees when we break down each fund and we put that scalpel to their portfolio. We find people in tons of mutual funds, hardly any exchange traded funds. I mean, you can drop 0.5% to 1% fee by just transitioning those. We see people with variable annuities and we're moving them to index or fixed annuities because of fees. And if you're just looking for a good income stream and a conservative growth, income makes the world go around. Let's make sure we button up the income. Let's stress test your portfolio every year. Every 3 to 5 years, we're bobbing and weaving. We're changing because the economy is changing. Maybe the market's going down. Maybe the market's going up. Maybe interest rates went down. Maybe they went up. Maybe inflation just kicked our rears, right? And so then we have stagflation, right? And so when that happens, we got to shift gears. So there's so many things that are part of our stress test that we encourage people to have that ongoing conversation. If you have an advisory firm who's doing that, great, congratulations. You're probably with somebody pretty darn good. But if you're not and you're thinking, this is foreign to me, what? My advisor hasn't called in 2 years, or I don't know what I have, then call us. There's plenty of us here willing to help, and we'll sit down and we'll do that stress test for you.
Well, we have ongoing support here at Zinnia Wealth. We all in our lives have people that we call, that we kind of, they're in our phone. You've got an attorney in there. You've got a tree service in there. You've got a mechanic in there. You've got, people who paint in there. All of that kind of stuff is there. Who is that person that you call for your retirement? Now, if you don't have that person right now, let's get that person in your life. Give Charisse a call, give the team a call, and let's sit down if we mesh and find out if what we offer for you is what you're looking for. And as again, I want to say that this is not just a one-time meeting. This is something that we're going to walk with you through your retirement years. And when things happen, you're going to want to have somebody to call. Give us a call right now and let's set that up. 833-368-3680 is our number. 833-368-3680 or our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that and you'll be on your way. All right, what are people asking right now? According to a new study, here are the 4 things people want to know when they walk through the door of a financial advisor. Am I protected from a downturn? Number 2, what do I need to do to outpace inflation? Number 3, am I going to meet my goals? And number 4, how do I preserve and pass on what I have built? It's kind of going along with the list that we already kind of talked about here today, Charisse. To give people the green light for retirement, you gave us that list. This is kind of the same kind of thing. This is what people are looking for.
They are. And, we have a great way to show this. We had rejiggered some old school software that made life simple at the Office of Zinnia Wealth Management for all the advisors and the team, and even for the client. So we wanted something so simple that they can understand it. We could build it out. We can change it within seconds. We don't have to use Excel, etc. And this software, we just pull up on the big screen. We show you, okay, here's your Social Security income, here's your pension income, here's your real estate income if you have some of that real estate income, here's your 6 buckets, and we're going to pull from these buckets here and then these buckets here, but then if the market bounces around, we're going to go here. And we want to also talk about inflation. Every plan has to have an inflation adjustable income built in. So every year you're going to watch your income going up to keep up with inflation. And then we start the plan very pessimistically. We're not going to show you what we've done in returns. I'm going to be very pessimistic. I'm like, if this is what happens, I'm really just a shoddy, really bad advisor out there. Hey, it's not so bad. You still win the game, or do you not win the game, right? And then we'll show you the returns we've had and say, hey, if we do this like we've done over the last 5 years, this is what it could look like. Oh, okay. So it's nice for people to see like pessimistically what things look like instead of just going into like a big brokerage firm or one of those big banks and they're just like, yeah, put your money in here. We're going to next 10 years going to double your money. We're going to get this 7% every year. Like that's not a plan. That's a stock jock. I love you, stock jocks. Don't worry. I do. But there's a place for a certain clientele, for a certain advisor. So you want to make sure you're working with a retirement advisor. During your accumulation phase, I'm all about the stock jock. Put your money in this, and there's closing your eyes and just keep going. Let's run the gamut, ups and downs all around. But then when you retire, you certainly have to pull out this software like we have, create an adjustable income every year for the next 30 years and for your spouse. We need to build out that, hey, am I going to pull an extra 20,000 or 40,000 or 100,000 for our travel? I have clients that do all 3 of those. I have one client's like, yeah, well, I'm going to need another 100 grand this year because we want to just go fly first class, do it right, get that suite on the balcony on the cruise ship. And so we need to plug that into the plan and make sure you don't run out of money or hopefully make sure you don't run out of money, right? And if in the plan, it shows that you are running out of money, we're like, $100,000 extra in travel might be a bit much, but hey, we can maybe do 75 or whatever the number is. So we're just that voice of reasoning, doing the math for you, showing you what you can spend, what you can't spend based on what you save, based on your liabilities, based on your fixed incomes that are coming in. And we make it very easy to understand. And we want to really start it more pessimistically. And then we want to show what if a spouse passes away? Do we lose a pension? Because we definitely lose one Social Security. So do we need to plan for that? Do I need to build a contractual guarantee bucket so that when one spouse passes away, we click into this other pension plan that we can create? So we got to look at that. And then the legacy. Do we want to pass our money on? Do we want it to grow while we're living on it? Or you want to spend your last dollar on your last breath? So again, our written plans, people love them. The software is incredible. And if you haven't seen something like this, then, we're going to implore you to come in and see one of the advisors and we'll stress test that portfolio. And then we'll also bring in the income plan part of it.
Well, we would love to have the opportunity to have that conversation. And as I say, you will know more going out than you did going in. When we sit down and start this process and doing the math on your retirement, giving you all of this information, I think that you'll really start to see a clear picture of what it looks like to retire, and maybe we give you the green light, and maybe you go back to work and you go back with a whole new attitude, or you say, I'm putting the keys in this week. That's it. I'm done. 833-368-3680 is our number. 833-368-3680 or online, zinniawealth.com. All right, so Cherise, how much time do you think that you spend scrolling on your phone? I know you're doing meetings all the time, but we all have this bad habit of we got our nose in our phone all the time. How long in every day do you think you have your nose in your phone?
Like, is that social media or emails and texting people back?
Anything.
Oh, so social media, 0. I'm hardly on social. You might, for the week, get 10 minutes of scrolling in social media for me, and that's kind of a stretch, to be honest with you. But when it comes to, like, I do everything on my phone. So people across the country are always like, you sent me an email at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was clear it came from your cell phone. Do you do anything on your laptop? I'm like, when I'm on a go, I just got to go and do what I got to do to make I live on this phone. So texting, I mean, at the end of the day, I got like 30 texts. I got to text everybody back, and I won't open it up until I know I can text people back, because I don't want to miss anybody. I want everybody to be treated equally, right? And then my emails, oh my gosh. So
you're in there a lot. Okay.
There's a lot of emails. So yeah, I'm embarrassed, but that's the work life environment. But there's 0 wasted time on TV, social media, or Yellowstone.
I love it. All right. The average person spends, here it is, 2 hours and 15 minutes a day with their nose in their phone. That is a full 3 full days a month, which adds up to 36 days a year. You are sitting there looking at your phone. Now,
you know what? I think the numbers are bigger than that. Where'd you get these stats? This cannot be accurate. It's got to be more. People are like so in social media. And then if they got a job, you got to keep up with that. So, okay. Anyway,
well, there's so much garbage out there to look at. And at the beginning of this show, and it's been there for years, you say, tune out the noise, because I know that I do it. I look at my portfolio every day. I do. I see, I look at the markets every day. I look at financial news every day. And I'm in there all the time. And I know a lot of people are as well. And it's one of the reasons that they will come to you, and they'll see stuff in the news. They'll see these headlines, and they'll freak out a little bit, and they'll go, Cherise, I'm losing money. What do I do? What do I do? And
I know.
So let's talk just for the last minute or so of the show here, just about tuning out the noise, because there's a lot of it right now.
Oh my dear, is there so much noise out there? Everyone, stop listening, and trust on your plan that you have, that written plan your financial advisor gave you. Trust the plan. If you're in that plan, you should be able to see, okay, here's my safe money, here's my medium risk money, and here's my super risk money. And if that lands a plane for you and you understand how that works, and you feel like you're never going to run out of money based on the plan, then ignore the noise. Anybody who's running to the TV day in and day out to see the S&P 500, where's it at? That is not a retirement plan. That is not a stress-free retirement. When you walk out the double doors of your employer, you collect your last check. Do not enter a stressful retirement. Turn in the keys, shut the door, have checks ready to go because you've been working with an advisor, and enjoy it. And if you are running to TV and you don't know your plan, then I understand why you're so stressed. But, we want to live a stress-free retirement. We want you to live on your income. We want you to enjoy it. We don't want to base your retirement on luck, right? So we're going to take part of that out of the equation. We want to make sure those checks are coming to you every month, and you're going to have 5 or 6 different checks from us possibly, and then they're always going to come. That's what we want to do. And if you know those checks are always coming and you can live the next 30 or 40 years in retirement, guess what? You're going to spend more. You're going to enjoy more. You're going to spend more time with your family. You're going to go on the boat more. You're going to get out and go hiking more. You're going to go on cruises more because you know the money's coming. And that is a stress-free retirement that we're trying to share with the people in North and Central Florida.
Well, one of the things and one of the reasons people come in is because the headlines get so crazy, and we're in one of those times right now. If it's getting to you, give us a call. Let's sit down. This is a red flag. This is probably saying you've got too much in the market, and you need to adjust that. That's very simple. Give us a call. Here's our number. Here's our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Hit the gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation, or use our number 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. Sharice will give you the last word on this one.
All right, you all, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time over the weekend when you could be doing lots of other things. And as usual, live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.